Starting the show, and the show opens with Roman Reigns. Of course, he comes out and says that everyone already knows what he's here for. So why waste any more time? Get out here, Rock, so I could kick your ass. Rock comes out and says, "You don't tell the final boss what to do. The final boss tells you what to do." Roman, I'm glad you're back. Really, I am. Because that means I get to send your ass back to the hospital permanently this time. Now, the past couple of weeks have been rough for the Bloodline, but The Rock is reloaded, and the Bloodline is reloaded. Rock drops the mic, and out from the crowd comes Jimmy and Solo. They're back from their injuries. Rock comes in, they surround the ring, they slowly approach, and they start to gang up on him. They beat him down for a bit before I come in with a bunch of security to separate them, and I say, obviously, you have you all have extra energy. So here's what we're gonna do. Tonight, we're gonna have a number one contenders match for your tag team championships. The winner of that match will face you two next week. And Solo, since you want to be so tough, why don't you take on Roman Reigns in the main event tonight? All right. Now this match is a number one contenders match for the world title. Cena once again gets another chance to go after the WWE Championship in this number one contenders match, but he's got some tough competition. Him and Sheamus have been to war with each other this year. Same could be said with Nakamura, and they've both gotten the better of him. The ending sees Nakamura hit Cena with a Kinshasa. Nakamura tries to go for the pin, but gets hit with a bro kick. He gets hit so hard he gets sent out of the ring. Sheamus picks up Cena, hits White Noise, only for Priest to turn Sheamus around and hit him with the South of Heaven. Sheamus also rolls out. Priest goes for Cena. He hits a South of Heaven on Cena, and Priest picks up the victory.
Oh, hell yeah.
El campeón.
El campeón.
Damien Priest, number one contender.
This is the good storyline.
Oh, 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 you will see. All right. Michael Cole then sends it to Jackie Redmond for a backstage interview. Thank you, Cole. I'm happy to announce my guest at this time, the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner, Roxanne Perez. We pan to get Roxanne in the shots. So, Roxanne, it's been a few days since you won the Rumble. Do you have any idea who you're going to choose for WrestleMania? On SmackDown, you have the man, Becky Lynch, who you haven't faced before. Or, here on Raw, we have Rhea Ripley, who, in your last encounter, ended up getting the victory. Well, Jackie, thanks for that little trip down memory lane. But if you must know, yes, I have made up my mind. And it should be pretty obvious. I've told her plenty of times we have unfinished business, and at WrestleMania, we finish it. Rhea Ripley, I hope you're ready. At this point, we see Jackie's eyes widen, and she just backs out of the frame. The camera pans to the right, and we see Rhea Ripley staring down Roxanne. Turns to face her. Rhea smiles until she finally says, "You'll regret that." Yeah, we'll see. Do me a favor. Don't lose that title between now and Mania. The moment won't be as sweet if I beat someone else for it. Rox just walks away after. We hear off screen, "Well, well, well," as Naomi walks up to Rhea. How does it feel knowing you got lucky against me? In fact, you got so lucky that you had Jade Cargill come out and beat both me and Bianca down for you. Not only did she beat Bianca down for you, you didn't even have to hit a riptide on Bianca. You just took the jaded that Jade gave her and escaped. Oh God, shut up. Let me guess. You want another title shot? Fine. I'll see you at the chamber. But I'm done with your excuses. This is your last chance for as long as I'm champion. Rhea walks off. The cameraman stays on Naomi as Mercedes walks up to her. Naomi, look, I'm sorry. It's not how I wanted everything to go at the Rumble, but this is all Nia's fault. She overreacted to an honest mistake. It's not my fault I eliminated her from the Rumble. Look, I think we both know that she's holding you back. When you gonna come to your senses and join me again? Alright, listen here. You're sorry? Fine, I accept. Whatever. Now let's do something constructive and focus on the future. And that future involves me leading the bloodline to a world title. I got my match. This is what I'm focused on right now. You win? Yeah. Alright, let's do this. Alright, this match. New Day and the Creeds have all been taken out. It's just the Undisputed Era versus the Street Profits. JD is battling Angelo on the outside. Mello is fighting Ford in the ring. Ford goes for a clothesline. Ducks. Mello ducks. Does a 180 and quickly hits Ford with a low blow. He goes for the cover. One, two. He gets pulled off. He turns and sees it's Trick. Mello gets up, rushes him. Trick ducks, hits the ropes. He bounces off and hits Mello with a trick shot. Ford is able to get the cover for the win. Street Profits, number one contenders. Okay.
Okay. Like I like it so far, but you're also setting up a lot of matches in like 6 weeks' time.
Yep.
Okay.
I just had to get it all out the way. Exposition.
Fair enough.
Anyways, backstage we see oh, even more setting up. Backstage we see Undisputed Era. Roxanne, JD, Mello, and Nakamura all icing up after their matches. Finn is just staring off into space. Adam says, "All right, so elephant in the room. The Rumble didn't go exactly how we pictured it going for us, except for you, of course, Rox. And today didn't go very well either, but it's fine. We're gonna turn this thing around. We're only as strong as our weakest link." Finn, are you listening? Finn snaps out of his trance and says, "What? Yeah. Quick question. What are we gonna do about Priest getting that title shot?" "What the hell are you talking about?" Mello jumps in. "You're literally the IC champion. Why do you still care about Priest?" "Because he can't win that title. I can't let that happen." "Finn," Adam intervenes, "you gotta let it go. Priest and the rest of the Judgment Day, they're behind us. The only way we go back to fighting them is if they either win the tag or world title. Not including Rhea, of course." He points to Rox. "Do your thing, Rox. We're rooting for you. Now, I got told by Eric that there will be a little tournament to find out who your new number one contender starting next week. So keep your mind on the task at hand and don't do anything stupid. Oh, and Rox, he said he wants to see you after your match tonight. Once things settle down, their locker room door opens and everyone turns to see Kevin Owens walk in and go straight to Finn. "So, you think you could just eliminate me from the Rumble and there's going to be no consequences to that?" The Undisputed Era start to crowd him and he just smiles. "Relax, I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to fight you. Not yet. I'm going to win that tournament and I'm going to take that title off you. You aren't taking anything from me." KO gets even closer before Stone Cold comes into the room and pulls him back, saying, "There you are. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's gotten into him lately. Anyways, come on, Kevin. Let's go." He pulls KO out of the room, shuts the door, and says, "What the hell is the matter with you? Do you want to die? What makes you think you could just walk into a room with that many threats and you'd walk out fine?" "Because I'm better than everyone on this roster, Steve. Everyone. Now, I got a tournament to train for. You can come with me if you want, or not. I really don't care." Ooh. All right, this match. Roxanne wins. Law, I guess. All right. Backstage. Roman is walking around when he runs into Jay. Hey, Jay, I just wanted to say thanks again. Now, tonight I got solo. I need you out there to help to even those numbers. You're in, right? What? Why the hell would I be in? I did you your favor. One thing that completely ruined everything for me. Randy shouldn't have walked out as champion, but he did, and that's on you. I don't want anything to do with this. You're on your own. Jay walks away. The camera stays on Roman when we hear a giant crash behind him. The camera goes toward it, and we see Bianca and Jade brawling before a bunch of people come in to separate them both. All right, Chelsea and Piper win. Whew. All right, Kaiser walks into Imperium's locker room and asks Gunther, "What's next? How do we get you back to the way you used to be?" Kaiser, I appreciate you wanting to help me, but it's time for me to take a break, refresh my mind. I'm leaving for a while. I don't know when I'll be back. Wait, so that's it? You're just taking your ball and going home? What kind of weak move is this? Gunther stands up, walks up straight, walks straight up towards Kaiser and says, "Watch your tone with me. I'm still your leader. Now then, I'm off. Good luck." Gunther leaves. Holy shit. I feel like I had something there, but my notes erased it because my notes erases stuff. Fuck it.
That is tragic to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna switch to just Google Docs after this. Roxanne walks into my office. You wanted to see me? Ah, Roxanne, come in, have a seat. You know, I can't stop thinking about your Rumble win. I know, right? Wasn't it amazing? I wouldn't describe it as that. I'm sure you've seen the discussions online about your Rumble win. There are a lot of people who don't think you're the legitimate winner. In fact, they think Mercedes should be the one main eventing WrestleMania. Anything to say to that? Well, there's nothing to say, other than the fact that they're a bunch of idiots that don't know what the hell they're talking about. What's even the point of bringing this up? Well, all this to say, I'm revoking your WrestleMania match with Rhea. What? You can't do this. Yes, I can actually. I'm revoking it. But I'm giving you a second chance to reclaim your spot. In 3 weeks, since I have three of the final four that were in the Rumble, you three will face off. And the winner will get their WrestleMania main event. So it will be Roxanne Perez versus Mercedes Monet versus Nia Jax. You're going to regret this, Rox says as she knocks my laptop off my desk and slams the door shut behind her. Whew. Okay. Roman versus Solo. Roman is in control. They're about to put away Solo when Jimmy comes in from the crowd. Roman's Superman punches him off the apron, turns to Solo. He gets hit with a spike. Solo covers him. One, two, kick out. Solo's in disbelief. He starts setting him up for another one. Roman ducks, hits the ropes, bounces off, hits a spear. Roman covers Solo. He gets the win. So Roman wins. But as soon as he does, Jimmy gets in the ring and starts blasting him with a chair. Rock comes out. All three of them beat him down. Rock hits rock bottom on him onto a chair. They take him outside, clear off the announce table. Rock does Roman's ooh ah. Solo and Jimmy put Roman on Rock's shoulders, and they shield powerbomb him through the announce table, and they put their ones up as the show ends.
Okay, then. Okay. The show opens and out comes Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman recaps the Royal Rumble and how Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble for the third time in his career. Heyman then starts teasing who he could possibly be going after at WrestleMania when Sami Zayn and Bronson Reed come out. Sami says he sees why Heyman was putting him through all that hell. He sees now why Heyman was putting him through all that hell for so many weeks. He was wanting to prepare him for Brock Lesnar. Heyman then cuts him off and says, "Who said Brock Lesnar was going after the World Heavyweight Championship?" Sami says they don't need to beat around the bush. Everyone knows Brock is choosing him because Heyman and Brock assume Sami is an easy challenge slash path to becoming world champion once again. Sami says he wants the challenge. He didn't scratch and claw his way to the top to have an easy ride. So if Brock has the balls, make the decision now. Pick me to be your opponent at WrestleMania. Paul Heyman is about to speak when Brock rips the mic out of his hands and tells Sami that at WrestleMania he's going to turn Sami's dream into a nightmare. He tells Sami that he is going to beat him so badly that his wife and kid won't be able to recognize him anymore. And when he is standing over Sami with that world title, he hopes Sami will understand that there are levels to this and he is nowhere near him. We then go backstage. Becky and Bayley are speaking about Becky's match at the Royal Rumble. Bayley congratulates Becky on the win, but Becky doesn't seem too pleased about it. Becky says she may have retained her title, but she doesn't feel like she won. Charlotte then comes in with Paige and says, "Damn right you didn't win. I had you beat so badly that you had to resort to a roll up, and both of us know that my hand was on that rope way before the count of three. Then I get into the Royal Rumble match and almost go the entire distance before once again getting screwed over by the referees for not seeing me eliminate Roxanne Perez." Bayley then steps up and says all she hears right now is Charlotte being sorry for herself and finding every excuse for why she couldn't get the job done. Charlotte says it's not an excuse when she was blatantly screwed over twice. Charlotte then seems to contain herself and says she knows Bayley has a match up next to qualify for the Elimination Chamber and how Bayley should focus on that. And in the meantime, she's heading to Mr. Heyman's office to get her rightful rematch for that women's title. We move on to Bayley Zoe Dakota. Towards the end of the match, we see Dakota hit the chiropractor on Bayley. Dakota goes for the cover but is pulled off by Zoe. Zoe then goes for the cover but then gets pulled off by Dakota. The two women brawl before Dakota throws Zoe out, and then Bayley has enough time to minute. In this meantime, Bayley has recovered and rolls up Dakota for the three. Bayley qualifies for the women's chamber. Afterwards, we go backstage to see Charlotte knocking on Heyman's door. Brock Lesnar answers the door and walks past Charlotte as she enters. Charlotte then recaps what happened at the Royal Rumble and how she deserves a rematch. Heyman says he could see where Charlotte is coming from, but Becky is in no shape tonight to compete. Tegan Knox then storms into the office and gets up in Charlotte's face about taking her spot in the Rumble and how if she was out there she wouldn't have blown it. Charlotte says, "Please, if I hadn't taken that spot from you, you probably would have embarrassed yourselves. So how about you thank me instead?" Tegan says she is planning to do a lot more than thank her. Heyman then raises his voice and says he will not allow violence in his office. He says, "You two have brought a very intriguing situation in front of me, though. Charlotte wants a rematch, and Tegan wants to have her shot at the women's title that was taken from her. So tonight in the main event, we'll have Charlotte versus Tegan Knox. Winner will go on to face Becky at the Elimination Chamber for the women's title." Down a bit. After that, we see Cody and Ricochet being interviewed about winning the tag belts when they get interrupted by the Rebel Society. Punk says he is proud of Cody for winning the tag belts, but they both know that Gallus deserves a rematch for them. Cody says he agrees 100% and whenever they want it, just let him know. Punk says he knows they haven't held the belts for long, but how about tonight? The OC then confronts and says if anyone's getting a shot at those tag titles, it's not some losers like Gallus. Also, who was it that eliminated you from the Royal Rumble, Cody? Was it Punk? No. Was it Gallus? No. In fact, they weren't even in the match. It was me, AJ Styles. So how about you let some real champions challenge for the belts instead of those losers? You then hear Cross laugh as he walks up with the final testament. Cross says he gave Cody his word at the Rumble that he and his men would not interfere, and he kept that promise. So he's here looking for some payment in the form of a title shot, and he sees some other teams are already scratching at the chance to face you guys, but come on. There's only one group here that'll actually give you guys a challenge, and you are currently looking at them. Cody then cuts everyone off and says they would gladly defend their titles against all of them, but that's not a decision he can make. Paul Heyman then comes into shot and says that is a decision he can make, though. So tonight, instead of giving away a title defense so soon, one of these teams will have to earn it. Up next, it will be the team of Gallus taking on AOP, taking on the Good Brothers. Whoever wins the match will get a shot at the tag belts next week. We move on to the six-man tag. Towards the end of the match, we see Gallus and the Good Brothers working together to take out AOP. They put them through the table and Mark Coffey and Carl Anderson begin to brawl on the outside. Joe Coffey re-enters the ring first, but the referee is not paying attention as he is focused on all the chaos on the outside. This distraction hides the fact that AJ is in the ring, and when Joe re-enters, AJ connects with the Styles Clash. AJ then quickly rolls out as Luke Gallows rolls in and gets the referee's attention and picks up the win. The Good Brothers earn the title shot. After the match, cameras cut backstage to both Cora and Punk brawling with Paige and Rollins. Cora attempts to use her briefcase, but Paige knocks it out of her hands. Seth and Punk are just throwing haymakers at one another, and Punk's stitches have come undone, and he has begun to bleed again. Security separates them as Heyman comes in and says he has had enough with that he has enough going on tonight and does not need this. If all of you want to brawl, fine, but do it in the ring, not back here where you're scaring the staff half to death. Paige and Seth then make their way towards the ring. Then move on to the intergender tag. Towards the end of the match, we see both pairs brawling in the ring. Seth and Paige throw Punk and Cora outside of the ring and take a moment to recover. They share some words uh, before going for a suicide dive. As they are about to dive through the ropes, Punk and Cora nail them with a toolbox and a briefcase. The ref calls for a DQ as Punk and Cora get back into the ring and beat down on them before standing over them. Seth and Paige win via DQ. We then go backstage. Braun Breaker is backstage rocking around with his US title when he gets confronted by Bobby Lashley. Lashley says he feels like there's some unfinished business between them. They got to face off in the Rumble, but didn't really get the chance to let the world know who was better. Braun says they didn't need to touch to let the world know who is better. Honestly, it's quite obvious. One of us is a champion, and the other has struggled to get on TV all year. Bobby says Bobby then says they can go out there right now, and he can change that. As tempers start to heat up, LA Knight comes into shot. LA Knight says if anyone's taking that title off of Braun's shoulders, it's going to be him. He's the one putting in the work to get a shot back at that US title, not Bobby. Just because you had a little stare off doesn't mean you get a title shot. Bobby then looks at Knight and tells him, well, I'm ready for a match. And if you want to see who is more deserving for this title shot, let's just go out there and figure out who deserves it. Knight accepts and they head towards the ring. Um, Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight. During the match, Braun Breaker tries to sneak attack Bobby and hit him with a spear, But as Breaker connects, Bobby just stops him in his tracks and picks him up and hits the Dominator. The ref calls for the DQ as Braun attacks. And Bobby just walks off after nailing a Dominator onto Braun. So Bobby technically wins by DQ. Cameras cut backstage to Andrade leaving Paul Heyman's office as Sami and Bronson enter. Brock Lesnar is in the room standing besides Paul's desk, standing next to Paul's desk, because that wording just confused me. Sami says, "You asked to see us?" Paul says, "Yes. I want to speak to you about my client Brock Lesnar. You see, Brock is an intimidating force, and I understand at WrestleMania this year you two will meet for that World Heavyweight Championship. But I want to make sure Brock is ready for that match, and the same goes for you. So next week, Sami, I'm giving you the opportunity to pick Brock Lesnar's opponent in the main event. I want to let you know that even though Brock is my client, you are still my world champion, and I want to show you in a way that that I still appreciate you." Sami says that he appreciates it and will start thinking of who to put up against Brock. As he is about to leave, Heyman says, "Oh, and one more thing. You may be picking Brock's opponent for next week, but he'll be picking your opponent for the Elimination Chamber to defend your title against." Sami stops in his tracks and turns around to a laughing Heyman and Brock. Bronson just guides Sami out of the room before anything can happen. We then see Charlotte is interviewed about Tegan Knox before their match. Charlotte says she has probably already beaten Knox at some point, and tonight is really just a formality for her. Charlotte knows she deserves a title rematch, and after all the BS that happened at the Royal Rumble, but if Paul wants her to earn her title shot, then that's what she is going to do. We head down to the ring for Charlotte versus Tegan. Tegan surprises most people and puts up quite a fight in this match. Towards the end, we see her get Charlotte in position for a Shining Wizard. She connects with it and quickly gets into the pin, but only gets a 2 count. Tegan gets up and backs up for another Shining Wizard, but as she charges in, Charlotte just gets up and nails her with a spear. Charlotte then moves towards her legs and locks in the figure 4 before transitioning it into the figure 8. Tegan is fighting with everything she has not to tap, but in the end she is unable to break the hold and has to tap out. Charlotte wins.
Who would have saw that coming?
Who would have saw that coming?